12 things that wear you out and drain your energy. Avoid them. Stoicism. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. Do you ever feel like life is wearing you down, leaving you drained and exhausted, without a clue why? Here's something that might surprise you. Many of the things that are stealing your energy every day are actually completely avoidable. And yes, I'm talking about the common habits and situations that are quietly draining your mental and physical strength. Because let's be honest, why keep dragging yourself through life carrying unnecessary burdens when you could be thriving, light and unburdened? In today's video, we're diving into 12 things that are depleting your energy. Things that, once identified and avoided, will transform the way you approach your daily life. With the help of Stoic wisdom, you'll learn how to take back control and stop these energy thieves from holding you back. Trust me, what you're about to discover will change the way you live, and you might not even realize these things are affecting you. The last one? It's a real game changer. Before we get started, if you find value in these videos, don't forget to subscribe to Stoic in your life and click the bell icon to stay updated. These 12 things could hold the key to a better, more energized life. So let's get started. 1. Negative people. Negative people have a profound and often invisible impact on your mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. While we may not notice it in the moment, their constant pessimism, complaints, and criticism slowly seep into our own mindset, altering our thoughts and draining our energy. Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on what we can control and to guard our inner peace, has much to say about how we should deal with negative influences. The mind, as Marcus Aurelius noted, is shaped by the quality of our thoughts, and if we surround ourselves with negativity, it becomes nearly impossible to maintain a sense of tranquility and resilience. Let's first consider how negative people influence us without our awareness. Much like how we unconsciously adopt the habits of those we spend the most time with, we also absorb their emotional and mental energy. If we are constantly surrounded by people who focus on problems rather than solutions, who are quick to criticize but slow to praise, we begin to see the world through the same lens. In the workplace, for example, you might encounter colleagues who are constantly complaining about management, the workload, or even other team members. Even if you are initially optimistic, exposure to such an environment can make you begin to adopt these same attitudes, leading to frustration, decreased motivation, and a feeling of helplessness. This kind of emotional osmosis is why the Stoics believed so strongly in the importance of choosing your environment carefully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," emphasizing that we must guard our minds against external negativity. He understood that while we cannot control other people's actions or attitudes, we can control how much access they have to our inner world. Modern life is no different. Toxic people come in many forms, whether it's the family member who never has anything good to say, the friend who always brings up the worst-case scenario, or the colleague who is perpetually dissatisfied with life. If you're not careful, their constant barrage of negativity can begin to weigh you down, just as carrying an extra load every day slowly wears out your body. Another aspect of how negative people drain your energy is the emotional toll they take on you. Often, these individuals are not only negative themselves but also expect others to participate in their negative thinking. They may pull you into long conversations about their problems, complain about situations over which you have no control, or criticize others in a way that invites you to do the same. Even if you try to offer solutions or steer the conversation in a more positive direction, their pessimism can feel like a black hole, consuming any positive energy you try to inject into the situation. Before you know it, you're left feeling frustrated, anxious, and mentally exhausted by problems that aren't even your own. In modern life, this can take many forms. Think about the family gatherings where one relative always has something negative to say, no matter the occasion. Their energy dominates the room, leaving everyone else feeling down or on edge. Or consider the workplace, where there might be one or two individuals who are always complaining about management, deadlines, or coworkers. Even if you're doing your best to stay positive and focused, these energy-draining interactions have a cumulative effect over time, slowly chipping away at your mental and emotional resources. Social media can also exacerbate this issue. If your online connections are constantly sharing doom and gloom posts, complaining about their lives, or spreading negativity, that too can infiltrate your mind. This is where Stoicism offers valuable guidance. One of the fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy is the understanding that we cannot control other people or their attitudes, but we can control how we respond to them. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." While you may not be able to avoid every negative person in your life, you can certainly set boundaries that protect your peace of mind. This doesn't mean cutting people out entirely, but rather creating emotional distance when needed. For example, if a colleague is always complaining, you can listen politely but refrain from engaging in the negativity. If a family member is constantly criticizing, you can acknowledge their opinion without letting it affect your own outlook. It's important to recognize that setting boundaries isn't about abandoning people or being cold-hearted. It's about preserving your own mental clarity and emotional strength so that you can show up fully in your own life. As the Stoics understood, inner calm is essential for leading a virtuous and meaningful life. Without it, we become easily swayed by the opinions, emotions, and actions of others, losing sight of our own path. When we allow negative people to drain our energy, we give them power over our emotional state, which is something a Stoic would never willingly do. Seneca reminds us of this when he says, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In the same vein, it's not the person who encounters negativity, but the person who absorbs it, who suffers the most. In practical terms, this might mean limiting the time you spend with certain individuals or changing the nature of your interactions. For example, if you have a friend who always calls to complain, you could suggest meeting for an activity that shifts the focus away from talking about problems, like going for a hike or doing something creative together. If a coworker frequently engages in negative conversations, try redirecting the discussion towards solutions or more neutral topics. If all else fails, learn the art of politely excusing yourself from conversations that drain your energy. The key is to remain firm in your commitment to protect your inner peace while still being respectful and kind. Lastly, remember that it's not your responsibility to fix everyone else's negativity. This is a crucial lesson that many people struggle with, as they often feel compelled to help or rescue negative individuals. But Stoicism teaches us that we are only responsible for our own thoughts and actions, not for the emotions or attitudes of others. If someone is stuck in a negative mindset, that is their burden to carry, not yours. Your job is to maintain your own equilibrium and ensure that you are not dragged into their emotional turmoil. Negative people can have a significant and often unnoticed impact on your energy and well-being. They not only drain you emotionally, but also subtly influence your own thoughts and attitudes. By setting boundaries and protecting your inner peace as the Stoics teach, you can maintain your mental clarity and strength, even in the presence of negativity. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Choose your company wisely and guard your thoughts fiercely, for they are the foundation of your happiness and the key to your inner calm." 2. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of those subtle traps that many of us fall into without even realizing it, and yet, it can be one of the biggest energy drains in our lives. You might think that aiming for perfection is a good thing, that setting high standards will push you to be better, but in reality, perfectionism often leads to frustration, burnout, and dissatisfaction. It's a relentless pursuit of an unattainable ideal, where nothing is ever good enough, no matter how much effort you put in. You keep going over the same work, rethinking your decisions, and stressing over tiny details that likely no one else would notice. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. And the idea of perfection often falls into the category of things beyond our control. The world is inherently imperfect, and so are we. Striving for excellence is one thing, but demanding perfection is another, and it's a heavy burden to carry. To better understand how perfectionism can wear you down, think about the last time you put off finishing a project or task because it wasn't perfect in your eyes. Maybe it was a work presentation, a personal hobby, or even something as simple as sending an email. You agonized over every word, every detail, constantly second-guessing yourself. How did it feel? Exhausting, right? That's because perfectionism doesn't allow you to feel satisfaction or accomplishment. You might finish the task, but rather than feeling proud of your effort, you only see what you think is wrong. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This quote applies to perfectionism because at its core, it is often a form of procrastination, a way to avoid finishing something out of fear that it won't meet some impossible standard. In today's fast-paced world, where everyone is striving to be the best, perfectionism has become even more prevalent, thanks in part to social media and the constant comparison to others. We see people online showcasing their seemingly flawless lives, their perfect bodies, their dream jobs, and their successful relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you, too, must attain this level of perfection to be valued. But the truth is, what we see on social media is just a highlight reel, carefully curated to hide the imperfections that exist in everyone's life. This constant pressure to be perfect can lead to anxiety, stress, and eventually, burnout. Instead of embracing our own journey and progress, we waste time and energy trying to measure up to an illusion of perfection that doesn't even exist. A good example of this is in the workplace. Let's say you're working on a big project that requires your utmost attention. You want to do a great job, so you put in extra hours, you fine-tune every little detail, and you hold off on submitting it because you feel it's not yet perfect. But here's the catch. While you're stuck in this cycle of revision and doubt, you're not only draining your energy, but also delaying progress. Deadlines are missed, stress levels rise, and the project begins to feel like a mountain you can't climb. This is where perfectionism becomes counterproductive. Instead of moving forward and learning from the process, you become paralyzed, trapped by your own unrealistic expectations. The irony is, perfectionism doesn't lead to better results. It often leads to procrastination, low self-esteem, and missed opportunities. When we obsess over getting things exactly right, we lose sight of the bigger picture and end up focusing on the minutiae that don't really matter. We forget that progress is made through trial and error, and that mistakes are not failures, but opportunities for growth. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." This serves as a reminder that striving for progress, not perfection, is what truly leads to mastery and resilience. In modern life, we see perfectionism play out in many areas. Whether it's in our careers, our relationships, or even in our personal goals. We've all heard the story of the entrepreneur who spent years trying to perfect their product, only to watch competitors with less polished versions take over the market. Or the artist who never shares their work because it's never quite good enough. The same pattern shows up in our personal lives. You might be holding off on starting a new hobby because you're afraid you won't be good at it right away. Or maybe you're avoiding a tough conversation because you don't know exactly how to say the right thing. This need for perfection creates inaction and keeps you from taking the necessary steps to move forward. So how do we break free from the grips of perfectionism? The answer lies in embracing imperfection as a natural part of life, and understanding that progress is far more valuable than perfection. Stoicism encourages us to focus on the process rather than the outcome. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, define your values and goals, take action, and let go of the need for everything to be flawless. When you focus on the effort rather than the result, you free yourself from the pressure to be perfect, and you allow yourself to grow. A practical way to apply this lesson in modern life is to set realistic goals and accept that mistakes are part of the journey. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for completion. If you're working on a project, set a deadline and stick to it. knowing that you can always make improvements later if needed. If you're learning a new skill, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you learn and get better. And when it comes to relationships, remember that no one is perfect, and neither are you. Instead of trying to be the perfect friend, partner, or colleague, focus on being present, supportive, and authentic. Perfectionism is a thief of joy and a drain on your energy. It keeps you in a constant state of dissatisfaction, never allowing you to celebrate your progress or acknowledge your achievements. By embracing the Stoic mindset of focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest, you can free yourself from the unrealistic expectations of perfectionism and start living a more fulfilled and energized life. The next time you find yourself stuck in the perfectionism trap, ask yourself, what am I really trying to achieve? Is it perfection, or is it progress? This shift in perspective will not only lighten your mental load, but also give you the freedom to move forward with confidence, knowing that perfection is not the goal. Growth is. 3. Clutter. Clutter, both physical and mental, can have a surprisingly significant impact on your energy levels and overall well-being. You might not think much of that messy desk, the pile of laundry you've been meaning to tackle, or the endless to-do list in your mind. But all of that clutter is slowly draining your energy. When our surroundings are chaotic, it's hard for our minds to focus, and we spend unnecessary energy trying to navigate through the disorder. The Stoics believed in simplicity and order as a way to maintain mental clarity and inner peace. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your environment is filled with clutter, so too is your mind. And the constant distractions caused by clutter keep you from thinking clearly and focusing on what truly matters. Have you ever noticed how much more productive and relaxed you feel after you clean your space or declutter your mind by organizing your thoughts? That's no coincidence. There's a direct correlation between the state of your environment and your mental energy. But clutter doesn't just refer to the physical objects around you. It also includes the mental clutter we carry with us daily, the endless worries, distractions, and unnecessary thoughts that weigh us down. In modern life, mental clutter can often come in the form of digital distractions, constant notifications from your phone, an overflowing inbox, or a social media feed filled with information you don't really need. Each one of these distractions pulls your attention away from the present moment, leaving you feeling scattered and overwhelmed. Seneca once said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." This means that when our minds are cluttered, we lose sight of our goals, and the constant barrage of information and tasks prevents us from making progress. So how do we clear this clutter, both physical and mental, and regain control of our energy? One powerful way to combat clutter is through intentional organization and mindfulness. Start by taking a hard look at your physical space. What items are truly necessary, and which ones are just taking up space? Often we hold on to things because we think we might need them someday or because of sentimental attachment. But in reality, these items are just adding to the noise around us. Clearing out the unnecessary not only creates more physical space, but also frees up mental space, allowing you to focus on what's important. Consider how much easier it is to find your keys or important documents when your space is organized. Now, apply that same logic to your mental clutter. What thoughts are you holding on to that no longer serve you? Are you worrying about things that are beyond your control? Are you juggling too many tasks at once? Just as we declutter our physical environment, we need to declutter our minds by letting go of unnecessary worries and focusing on what we can control. In today's digital age, one of the biggest sources of mental clutter is technology. How many times have you found yourself mindlessly scrolling through your phone or jumping from one notification to the next without any real purpose? It's easy to get caught up in this cycle, but it's also one of the biggest energy drains we face. When you allow your attention to be pulled in 100 different directions, you're left feeling scattered and unfocused. To combat this, try setting boundaries for your digital consumption. Limit your time on social media, turn off unnecessary notifications, and create designated times for checking your email. This will help you regain control of your mental space and conserve your energy for more meaningful tasks. After all, as the Stoics believed, we only have so much energy to give each day, and we must be mindful of where we invest it. One story that illustrates the power of decluttering comes from the life of an artist who struggled for years to complete a major work. He kept telling himself that he needed the right conditions to start, that his studio needed to be perfectly organized, and that he needed to find the perfect materials. But in reality, his cluttered workspace and overthinking were preventing him from making any progress. One day, frustrated with his lack of progress, he decided to clear out everything he didn't need. He donated old materials, threw out unfinished projects, and simplified his workspace to the essentials. The change was immediate. Without the distraction of clutter, he was able to focus fully on his work, and the creative energy flowed effortlessly. What clutter is holding you back? What steps can you take today to simplify your surroundings and your mind so you can focus on what truly matters? Clutter, both physical and mental, can also affect your emotional well-being. When your space is chaotic or your mind is filled with unresolved thoughts, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and anxious. The Stoics understood this well, emphasizing the importance of simplicity and order in all aspects of life. Epictetus taught, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." By clearing out the clutter, you're creating room for peace, clarity, and focus, which in turn allows you to approach life's challenges with a calm and composed mindset. This doesn't mean you have to live a minimalist life or never have a busy schedule, but it does mean being intentional about what you allow into your space and your mind. Ask yourself, what can I remove from my life today that will bring me closer to peace? Clutter is a distraction from what truly matters. It consumes your energy and keeps you from being fully present in your life. By decluttering your environment and your mind, you free up space for clarity, focus, and creativity. The Stoics remind us that life is short and our energy is finite. We must be intentional about how we use it and not allow unnecessary distractions to drain us. So, take a moment to look around your life. What clutter can you clear out? Whether it's a messy desk, a cluttered mind, or digital distractions, removing the excess will bring you closer to the calm and purposeful life that Stoicism encourages. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now it's up to you to take that first step toward decluttering your life and regaining your energy. 4. Comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others is one of the most common and harmful habits that drains your energy and saps your spirit. It's a subtle but powerful force that creeps into your thoughts without you even realizing it, often disguised as ambition or a desire to improve. You might see a friend who's reached a certain level of success in their career, a neighbor with a seemingly perfect family, or someone on social media who appears to be living a flawless life. The moment you begin to measure your worth against theirs, you start to lose sight of your own progress and the things that truly matter in your life. As Theodore Roosevelt famously said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us of the importance of focusing on what we can control. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Instead of constantly looking outward and wishing for what others have, the Stoic approach encourages us to look inward and be content with our own journey. In modern life, this tendency to compare ourselves to others has been magnified by social media, where we are bombarded with curated highlights of other people's lives. Scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, you're exposed to the vacations, job promotions, new cars, and perfect relationships of friends and strangers alike. It's easy to feel like you're falling behind or not living up to some arbitrary standard of success. But what you're seeing is just a snapshot, an edited version of reality that often hides the struggles, setbacks, and imperfections that everyone experiences. As a result, Comparing your real life to someone else's filtered moments only leads to frustration, self-doubt, and a drain on your emotional energy. You may find yourself constantly chasing a version of success that isn't even aligned with your values, just because you're caught up in the comparison game. The Stoic perspective is clear. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." This means that wasting your energy on comparisons not only prevents you from appreciating your own life, but also stops you from fully living it. When you're too focused on what others are doing, you miss out on your own opportunities for growth, joy, and fulfillment. It's essential to remember that everyone's path is different. What may work for someone else may not be right for you, and what you see on the surface rarely tells the full story of someone's struggles or successes. Consider the story of a successful entrepreneur who, after years of hard work, built a thriving business. From the outside, it looked like his success came quickly and effortlessly. His peers admired him and often compared their own progress to his, feeling discouraged by their slower achievements. But what they didn't see were the countless sleepless nights, the failures, and the sacrifices he made along the way. They didn't see the times he doubted himself, or the moments when he almost gave up. This is the problem with comparisons. They're based on incomplete information. You never have the full picture, so you're comparing yourself to an illusion, not reality. Ask yourself, how often have you compared your worst day to someone else's best? How has this impacted your sense of worth and your ability to stay focused on your own goals? When you constantly compare yourself to others, you allow external standards to dictate your happiness and self-esteem. But the truth is, you are the only one who can define what success looks like for you. The Stoics understood that true contentment comes from within, not from external validation. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This wisdom emphasizes the importance of personal growth over external achievements. Life is not a competition, but rather a continuous process of becoming a better version of yourself. Comparing yourself to others only distracts you from this journey and drains the energy you could be using to improve your own life. In today's world, where success is often measured by material wealth or social status, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But remember, no amount of comparing yourself to others will make you feel better or bring you closer to your goals. Instead, focus on your own progress and celebrate the small victories along the way. Reflect on the areas of your life where you've grown, the challenges you've overcome, and the person you're becoming. By shifting your focus from comparison to gratitude, you free yourself from the energy drain of constantly measuring your life against others. One way to break free from the comparison trap is to practice mindfulness and gratitude. Each day, take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for in your own life. What achievements have you made, no matter how small? What strengths do you have that make you unique? By cultivating a sense of gratitude for your own journey, you begin to see that there's no need to compare yourself to anyone else. Your path is your own, and it's filled with opportunities that are uniquely suited to you. Another practical approach is to limit your exposure to social media or any other platforms that fuel your comparisons. Instead of scrolling mindlessly, focus on activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply taking a break from the digital world to reconnect with yourself. Comparing yourself to others is a losing game. It drains your energy, clouds your perspective, and robs you of the joy that comes from appreciating your own life. As the Stoics teach us, happiness comes from within, and we should strive to live according to our own values, not someone else's. The next time you catch yourself comparing your journey to someone else's, pause and ask yourself, what is my true definition of success? How can I focus on my own growth rather than someone else's achievements? By letting go of comparisons, you reclaim your energy and direct it toward the things that truly matter: your own progress, happiness, and fulfillment. And in the words of Marcus Aurelius, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So, choose thoughts that lift you up, not those that weigh you down. Thank you for being here with us in today's video. Before we dive into the next segment, I just want to take a moment to express my gratitude for your presence. It's truly an honor to have you as part of our Stoic in Your Life community. Please don't hesitate to share your thoughts or experiences with us. Your input makes all the difference. And if you're not sure what to say, just leave a comment saying, "I am a newbie," if you've recently joined us, or "I am a Stoic," if you've been part of the journey for a while. Your engagement means a lot and inspires us to keep creating content that speaks to you. All right, let's continue this journey of growth and wisdom together, shall we? 5. Excessive worrying. Excessive worrying is one of the most draining habits a person can have. It doesn't just affect your mind, it wears you out physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You may not realize it, but constantly worrying about things that are outside your control is a massive energy thief. Think about it for a second. How much time do you spend worrying about situations that haven't even happened yet? Maybe you worry about the outcome of a project at work, your financial future, or the health of a loved one. These concerns can quickly spiral out of control, filling your mind with anxious thoughts that make you feel overwhelmed. But here's the thing. Worrying doesn't change the outcome. In fact, it just makes the journey toward that outcome more stressful. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." This quote is a reminder that what drains our energy isn't the events themselves, but our constant mental focus on them in a negative way. When you worry excessively, you're using up mental and emotional resources on hypothetical scenarios that may never even happen. It's like running on a treadmill. You're expending all this energy but not actually getting anywhere. In today's world, where there's constant pressure to succeed, stay connected, and stay ahead, it's easy to fall into the habit of worrying. You might see someone on social media achieving something you haven't yet, and suddenly, your mind starts racing about whether you're doing enough. Or maybe you get a vague email from your boss and immediately assume the worst. But how often do these worries actually come to pass? More often than not, the things we worry about never materialize. Mark Twain captured this perfectly when he said, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." So if worry doesn't prevent bad things from happening, why do we let it have such a hold on us? One modern story that comes to mind is about a man named John, who spent years worrying about his career. He was always concerned that he wasn't progressing fast enough, wasn't earning enough, or wasn't meeting his own high expectations. He would lie awake at night, replaying conversations with his boss, wondering if he'd said something wrong or missed an opportunity. But the truth was, while John was spending all that energy worrying, his career was actually on track. He was receiving positive feedback, hitting his targets, and making steady progress. The constant worry wasn't just unnecessary, it was making him exhausted and affecting his performance. One day, a mentor gave him a piece of advice that changed his outlook. Focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. This Stoic principle, which emphasizes taking action on what's within your power and releasing what isn't, helped John see that his worry wasn't helping him. It was holding him back. He started focusing on his daily actions rather than obsessing over future outcomes, and his energy levels and performance dramatically improved. Excessive worrying often stems from a fear of the unknown or a lack of control. We worry about our health, relationships, or finances because we can't always predict or control these aspects of life. But the truth is, trying to control the uncontrollable is a futile exercise, and it's what the Stoics warned against. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote is crucial when dealing with excessive worry because it reminds us that while we can't control the future, we can control how we react to it. Instead of spending your energy worrying about what might happen, Redirect that energy toward preparing for what you can influence. Take practical steps toward improving your situation, but let go of the need to control every possible outcome. A question you should ask yourself is, how often has worrying actually solved the problem? If you really think about it, the answer is probably never. Worry doesn't change the situation, it just makes you feel powerless and stuck. The next time you catch yourself in a cycle of worry, pause and ask, is this something I can control? If the answer is yes, then focus on what actions you can take. If the answer is no, remind yourself that worrying won't change anything and that your energy is better spent elsewhere. This shift in thinking not only frees up mental space, but also reduces stress, allowing you to be more productive and present. In modern life, we often equate worry with care. We think that if we're not worrying about something, we're not being responsible. But Stoicism teaches us that true responsibility comes from focusing on action, not anxiety. If you're worried about your financial future, for example, the Stoic approach would be to set a budget, save what you can, and make smart investments. But beyond that, worrying about economic downturns or unpredictable market changes is wasted energy. Similarly, if you're concerned about a loved one's health, you can offer support, encourage them to see a doctor, and be there for them emotionally. But staying up all night worrying about their health won't make them any better. It will only make you more exhausted. Excessive worrying robs you of peace and depletes your energy. The Stoic message is clear. Focus on what's within your control and let go of the rest. This doesn't mean you don't care or that you ignore real challenges. It means that you channel your energy into things you can actually influence, rather than wasting it on fear and anxiety. Remember, as Seneca wisely said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The next time worry creeps in, challenge it. Ask yourself whether it's helping or harming you. By letting go of excessive worrying, you free yourself to focus on living fully in the present, and in doing so, you preserve your energy for the things that truly matter in life. 6. Monotony. Monotony is one of the silent energy drainers that often goes unnoticed until it has already taken a significant toll on your life. When every day starts to look and feel the same, when your routine becomes predictable and repetitive, it can slowly wear you down mentally, emotionally, and even physically. You might not even realize it's happening at first, but over time, the dullness of doing the same tasks over and over without any variety can drain your enthusiasm and zest for life. The truth is, our minds crave stimulation, new experiences, and challenges. When we don't get that, we lose motivation and energy. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Life, if well lived, is long," meaning that a life full of meaningful moments and variety feels fuller and more vibrant. But when monotony sets in, it can make even a short period feel endless and tiring. Are you stuck in a routine that no longer excites you? Is the sameness of each day robbing you of the energy you once had? Let's break this down a bit further. In today's fast-paced world, where everything seems to be about efficiency and productivity, we often get caught up in routines without realizing that those routines may be slowly depleting us. You wake up, go to work, come home, maybe watch some TV, go to bed, and repeat the cycle the next day. Week after week, month after month, the pattern doesn't change, and before you know it, you're feeling drained, unfulfilled, and stuck. This kind of monotony can happen in various aspects of life. Your job, your relationships, your fitness routine, or even your hobbies. You might feel like you're just going through the motions, not really living but merely existing. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your mind is constantly bored, unchallenged, and disengaged because of the monotony in your life, it's no wonder that your energy is being sapped. So, what can you do about it? First, recognize that monotony isn't just a result of your environment or circumstances, it's also a mindset. Often, the same task can feel either energizing or draining, depending on how you approach it. For example, let's take the case of someone who's stuck in a job they find monotonous. Every day feels the same, the tasks are repetitive, and there seems to be little room for creativity or growth. However, by shifting your perspective and finding new ways to challenge yourself within that same job, perhaps by learning a new skill, taking on a different project, or even mentoring a colleague, you can break the cycle of monotony and reignite your energy. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In other words, you have the power to change how you experience the world, even if the external circumstances remain the same. Modern life provides us with so many opportunities to break the cycle of monotony, but sometimes we don't take advantage of them. Think about the daily routines you follow. How many of them are out of habit rather than intentional choices? Are you stuck in a fitness routine that no longer excites you? Maybe you're doing the same workout every day without mixing it up, and your body and mind are no longer challenged. Why not try something new, like hiking, swimming, or a new type of exercise class? Or perhaps your social life has fallen into monotony, seeing the same people, doing the same things, talking about the same topics. You can break that pattern by meeting new people, exploring new places, or even just trying a new restaurant. Monotony is often a sign that you're not seeking out variety in your life, and variety is essential for maintaining your energy and passion for life. A real-life story that illustrates the draining effect of monotony is that of a man named Tom. For years, Tom worked in the same office with the same routine, day in and day out. At first, it didn't bother him, but after a few years, he started feeling exhausted, even though his workload hadn't increased. He couldn't figure out why he was so tired all the time. Then one day he realized that it wasn't the work itself that was wearing him down, but the sheer repetition of it. The monotony of doing the same tasks in the same way every day had drained him of all energy and enthusiasm. Tom decided to make small changes. He rearranged his workspace, started taking breaks to walk outside, and took up a new hobby in the evenings. These little shifts broke the cycle of monotony, and almost immediately he felt more energized and engaged in his work and life. How many of us are like Tom, feeling drained without realizing that the root cause is monotony? What small changes could you make today to shake things up and inject some energy back into your life? It's important to recognize that breaking free from monotony doesn't always require drastic changes. You don't need to quit your job or completely overhaul your life. Often, it's the small shifts in perspective and behavior that make the biggest difference. Maybe it's something as simple as rearranging your daily schedule, trying a new activity, or setting new goals for yourself. The Stoics believed in living a life of purpose and intention, and part of that is recognizing when routine has become more of a burden than a tool for stability. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." When your days are filled with sameness, it's hard to be present because your mind is constantly craving something new and stimulating. By intentionally seeking out variety and breaking the patterns of monotony, you can reawaken your sense of presence and, in turn, regain your energy. 7. Lack of sleep. Lack of sleep is one of the most overlooked yet powerful energy drainers that we face in our daily lives. It's something many of us brush aside, convincing ourselves that we can function just fine on a few hours of rest. We might even think of sleep as a luxury, something we can cut down on to fit more into our day. But the truth is, when we consistently shortchange ourselves on sleep, we are slowly robbing our bodies and minds of the vitality they need to function optimally. Lack of sleep doesn't just make us feel tired. It affects our cognitive abilities, emotional stability, and even our physical health. In modern life, with the pressures of work, family, and social obligations, sleep is often the first thing we sacrifice, but the cost is far greater than most of us realize. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When we are sleep-deprived, our thoughts become sluggish, our mood darkens, and we lose the ability to think clearly and make sound decisions. Sleep is not just a passive activity. It's a foundational element of living well. Let's look at how lack of sleep affects us on a deeper level. When we don't get enough sleep, our body's natural rhythms are disrupted. This can lead to an increase in stress hormones like cortisol, which not only makes us feel more anxious and irritable, but also takes a toll on our immune system, leaving us more susceptible to illness. Have you ever noticed that after a poor night's sleep, even the smallest tasks feel overwhelming? You're not imagining it. Lack of sleep compromises our ability to focus and process information, making us less productive and more prone to mistakes. Over time, this can create a vicious cycle. Your lack of sleep makes you less efficient, which in turn makes you feel like you need to work harder, leading to even less sleep. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, and part of that is recognizing the natural need for rest. Seneca once said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." When we're deprived of sleep, we often perceive our problems as bigger and more difficult than they actually are, simply because our tired minds can't handle them with the same clarity and calm as when we are well rested. In today's fast-paced world, many of us take pride in being busy and getting by on minimal sleep. It's become almost a badge of honor to say, "I only got 5 hours of sleep last night," as though functioning on less sleep is a sign of strength. But in reality, this mindset is harmful. Our brains and bodies require rest to recover and regenerate. Without it, we're simply running on empty, using up the energy reserves that should be fueling our creativity, problem-solving abilities, and emotional resilience. Have you ever wondered why, after a good night's sleep, problems that seemed insurmountable the day before suddenly seem manageable? That's because sleep allows your brain to process information, organize your thoughts, and restore your emotional balance. As Epictetus wisely said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want to be at your best, mentally, physically, and emotionally, getting enough sleep is not optional. It's essential. Consider the story of a highly successful entrepreneur who worked long hours and slept very little. At first, it seemed like a good strategy. He was able to outwork his competition, put in more hours, and get more done. But over time, the lack of sleep began to take its toll. He started making careless mistakes, losing his temper over small issues, and his health began to deteriorate. Eventually, he realized that while he was putting in more hours, the quality of his work was suffering. His solution? He began prioritizing sleep, recognizing that by resting properly, he could be far more effective and productive during the hours he was awake. He realized that by working smarter, not harder, he could achieve better results. This simple shift had a profound impact on his success and well-being. The same lesson applies to all of us. More hours awake doesn't necessarily mean more success. In fact, it often leads to the opposite. So how can we improve the quality of our sleep and, in turn, our energy levels? First, it's important to create a routine that signals to your body that it's time to wind down. This could include turning off screens an hour before bed, practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation, or creating a calming bedtime environment. The Stoics were advocates of discipline, and this applies to our sleep habits as well. Marcus Aurelius urged us to take care to get what you like, or you will be forced to like what you get. This means that if we neglect our need for rest, we are choosing to accept the negative consequences that come with it. By creating a disciplined sleep routine, you are taking control of your well-being and ensuring that you have the energy to tackle whatever life throws at you. Another practical step is to be mindful of how you use your time during the day. Often, we find ourselves staying up late to finish tasks that could have been completed earlier if we had been more focused or efficient. Ask yourself, how often do you stay up late, not because you have to, but because you're procrastinating or distracted? By organizing your day more effectively, you can reduce the need to cut into your sleep time, allowing yourself to rest and recharge fully. It's also helpful to remember that sleep is not a waste of time, but a necessary investment in your energy, health, and overall quality of life. In fact, studies have shown that people who get enough sleep are more creative, more productive, and more emotionally balanced than those who don't. In modern life, where the pressure to be constantly on is ever present, it's easy to forget that rest is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is a source of strength. Just as a well-rested mind is more capable of handling challenges, a well-rested body is more resilient and better equipped to face the demands of everyday life. The Stoic approach to sleep reminds us that balance is key. We must recognize that pushing ourselves to the point of exhaustion is not noble or effective. It's simply unsustainable. The next time you're tempted to sacrifice sleep for the sake of getting more done, ask yourself, will this truly help me in the long run, or am I just burning myself out? Lack of sleep is a silent but powerful drain on your energy. It affects every aspect of your life, your ability to think clearly, manage stress, and stay healthy. By prioritizing sleep, you are not only taking care of your physical and mental well-being, but you are also setting yourself up for greater success and happiness. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." But to truly appreciate that privilege, we must first ensure we are well rested and ready to face the day with clarity and energy. 8. Toxic relationships. Toxic relationships are one of the most draining forces in life, and often we don't even realize the full extent of the damage they cause until we're completely exhausted, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. Whether it's a partner, a friend, a coworker, or even a family member, toxic relationships consume more than just your time. They steal your energy, self-esteem, and peace of mind. You may find yourself constantly walking on eggshells trying to avoid conflict or feeling drained after every interaction. Over time, this emotional toll builds up, leaving you feeling trapped and powerless. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Toxic relationships do the exact opposite. Instead of uplifting you, they weigh you down, making it harder to focus on what really matters in life and robbing you of the energy needed to pursue your goals. Now let's explore how toxic relationships manifest in modern life. Have you ever had that one friend who always turns the conversation back to themselves, never showing any interest in your life or concerns? Or perhaps a colleague at work who's constantly undermining your efforts and spreading negativity? These relationships often start off seemingly harmless, but slowly, they begin to drain your emotional reserves. You might notice that you feel anxious before seeing this person or feel emotionally exhausted after spending time with them. That's because toxic individuals often project their negativity, jealousy, or insecurities onto others, turning every interaction into an emotional battle. In today's world, where social media and constant connectivity make it easier than ever to stay in touch with people, toxic relationships can even seep into your online interactions. You might find yourself engaging with someone who regularly criticizes or belittles you, leaving you questioning your self-worth. Over time, these interactions can take a heavy toll on your mental and emotional well-being. One story that perfectly illustrates the impact of toxic relationships involves a young professional named Sarah. Sarah had a close friend from college who seemed supportive on the surface but would often criticize Sarah's career choices, belittle her achievements, and make her feel guilty for pursuing her dreams. For years, Sarah tolerated this behavior, convincing herself that this was just the nature of their friendship. But slowly, Sarah began to notice the toll it was taking on her mental health. She felt more anxious, doubted her abilities, and even started second-guessing her life decisions. It wasn't until she distanced herself from this friend that she realized how much energy she had been wasting on someone who didn't truly support her. Once she removed this toxic relationship from her life, she felt an immediate sense of relief and regained the mental clarity to focus on her personal growth and success. This is a common experience for many people stuck in toxic relationships. How many of us are allowing the negativity of others to hold us back from living our fullest, most vibrant lives? It's important to remember that not all relationships are equal, and some will drain more from you than they give back. The Stoics believed strongly in the value of surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, uplift you, and encourage you to grow. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what happens when the people around you are constantly injecting negativity into those thoughts? Toxic relationships breed negative thinking, and over time, they can even warp your perception of yourself and the world around you. It's crucial to recognize these relationships for what they are and take steps to protect your energy. That doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life at the first sign of trouble, but it does mean being mindful of how certain people affect your mental and emotional state. Are they adding value to your life, or are they draining it away? To break free from toxic relationships, the first step is acknowledging that the relationship is harmful. This can be difficult, especially if it's a relationship with someone you've known for a long time or someone you care deeply about. But just because you care about someone doesn't mean they're good for you. Once you've recognized the toxicity, the next step is to set boundaries. Boundaries are essential for protecting your energy and well-being. You can set limits on how much time you spend with this person, how deeply you engage with their negativity, or even whether you want to continue the relationship at all. It's not about being harsh or unkind, it's about valuing your own mental and emotional health enough to protect it. Ask yourself, how much of my energy am I sacrificing for this person, and is it worth it? Ending or distancing yourself from toxic relationships can be challenging, but the rewards are immense. Once you free yourself from these draining interactions, you'll notice a shift in your energy, your mood, and your outlook on life. You'll have more mental space to focus on the people and activities that truly bring you joy and fulfillment. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth, who celebrate your successes, and who inspire you to be the best version of yourself." Life is too short to waste your energy on relationships that leave you feeling depleted and unworthy. Toxic relationships are one of the biggest energy drains we face. They affect our mental health, sap our emotional strength, and often keep us from pursuing our goals and dreams. By recognizing these relationships, setting clear boundaries, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, you can reclaim your energy and focus on living a more fulfilling and empowered life. The lesson is simple. You deserve relationships that nurture your soul, not ones that drain it. So, ask yourself, are there any toxic relationships in your life that you need to address? How can you start protecting your energy today and moving toward a life filled with positivity and growth? By doing so, you'll not only free yourself from the negativity but also open the door to healthier, more fulfilling connections. If you've made it this far, you're ready to reclaim your energy and focus. Drop a comment saying, "I choose strength," to show your commitment to avoiding what drains you. Stay tuned. There's more wisdom on the way. 9. Self-criticism. Self-criticism can be one of the most harmful and exhausting habits we carry, and often it's something we do without even realizing how much energy it drains from us. It's that little voice in the back of your mind that constantly points out your flaws, questions your worth, and makes you doubt your abilities. At first, self-criticism might seem like a tool for self-improvement. You tell yourself that being hard on yourself will push you to work harder, be better, and achieve more. But in reality, constant self-criticism does the opposite. It wears you down, chips away at your confidence, and leaves you feeling stuck. The Stoics believed that we must find balance in how we view ourselves, avoiding both arrogance and self-deprecation. As Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The idea here is that we should strive for growth, but not beat ourselves up for every mistake along the way. After all, self-improvement should come from a place of compassion, not self-judgment. Think about how often you criticize yourself for things that are beyond your control. Maybe you didn't meet a deadline because of circumstances outside your power. Or perhaps you made a mistake that any human being could make. Rather than acknowledging the situation for what it is, you spiral into negative thoughts about your capabilities and worth. Self-criticism makes us believe that we're never good enough, and when you're constantly telling yourself that you aren't worthy, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The energy that could be used to improve your skills, learn from your mistakes, or move forward is instead wasted on negative self-talk. Over time, this habit creates a mindset of failure and frustration, where even small setbacks seem like monumental failures. How much energy do you think you could save if you stopped being your own harshest critic? In today's society, where perfectionism is often celebrated and social media bombards us with images of success, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism. You see others achieving goals that seem out of reach for you, and instead of recognizing your own progress, you criticize yourself for not being at their level. But the truth is, everyone's journey is different. Comparing yourself to others and using that comparison as fuel for self-criticism is not only unfair, but also unproductive. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This means that instead of wasting your energy criticizing yourself for not being good enough, you should focus on the actions that will help you grow into the person you want to be. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. A story that perfectly illustrates the dangers of self-criticism involves a woman named Jane. Jane was a talented writer who dreamed of publishing her own novel. But every time she sat down to write, she would harshly criticize her work, telling herself that her writing wasn't good enough and that no one would ever want to read it. As a result, Jane never finished her novel. Years passed, and despite her talent, her self-criticism held her back from achieving her dreams. One day, a mentor told her, "You're not going to write the perfect novel, but you can write a great one." This simple piece of advice helped Jane break free from her cycle of self-criticism. She realized that her constant self-doubt had been paralyzing her, and once she let go of the need to be perfect, she was able to finish her book. How often do we, like Jane, stop ourselves from achieving our goals because we criticize every step we take? What dreams are you holding back on because you fear they're not perfect? It's essential to recognize that self-criticism, while sometimes well-intentioned, is not an effective motivator. Instead of pushing you to improve, it often leaves you feeling paralyzed and fearful of making mistakes. The Stoics believed that making mistakes is a natural part of life, and that growth comes from learning, not from punishing yourself. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." In many cases, the harshness of your self-criticism is worse than the mistake itself. You're not just dealing with the consequences of the error, you're dealing with the emotional burden you've placed on yourself for not being perfect. But here's the thing, no one is perfect, and expecting yourself to be is not only unrealistic but also exhausting. So, how can we combat this energy-draining habit of self-criticism? First, practice self-awareness. Pay attention to the moments when you start criticizing yourself, and ask yourself whether this criticism is helping or hurting you. Is it constructive or is it simply tearing you down? If it's not helpful, then it's time to change your approach. Replace harsh self-talk with constructive feedback. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," say, "This is something I need to work on and here's how I can improve." By shifting your mindset from criticism to self-compassion, you'll be able to approach challenges with a more positive and productive attitude. After all, improvement comes from action, not self-punishment. Self-criticism is one of the most subtle yet powerful forces that drain your energy. It creates a cycle of negativity that holds you back from achieving your goals and living a fulfilling life. By recognizing when self-criticism arises and consciously choosing to replace it with self-compassion, you can break free from this destructive habit and redirect your energy toward growth and progress. Remember, as Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You have the power to change your inner dialogue, to treat yourself with kindness, and to stop draining your energy through unnecessary self-criticism. So, Next time you catch yourself being overly critical, ask yourself, is this helping me move forward, or is it holding me back? By answering that question honestly, you'll begin to free yourself from the heavy burden of self-criticism and open the door to a more energized, fulfilled life. 10. The overload of responsibilities. Taking on too many responsibilities is a sure way to drain your energy, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and stretched too thin. In our modern world, it's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to everything, whether it's commitments at work, family obligations, or social engagements. We often tell ourselves that we can handle it all, that we have the ability to juggle countless tasks, but sooner or later, the weight of all those responsibilities starts to wear us down. The Stoics understood the importance of managing what is within our control and letting go of the rest. As Epictetus famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." When you're overloaded with responsibilities, it's not just about the tasks themselves. It's about how they affect your mental and emotional well-being. The more responsibilities you take on, the more pressure you put on yourself to deliver. And with that pressure comes stress, anxiety, and eventually burnout. Think about how many times you felt like there weren't enough hours in the day to get everything done. You're constantly racing against the clock, trying to check off items on your to-do list, only to find that it keeps growing longer. This is especially true for men who feel the need to be everything to everyone, whether it's being the perfect employee, the devoted family man, or the loyal friend. But here's the harsh reality. No one can do it all, and the attempt to do so comes at the cost of your energy, peace, and ultimately, your health. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations here, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In the context of responsibilities, this means that the overload you feel is often less about the actual tasks and more about the pressure you place on yourself to meet every expectation. In today's society, where productivity is often glorified, many of us feel guilty if we aren't constantly busy. We mistake being busy for being productive, but the two are not the same. When you're constantly overburdened, your productivity actually suffers because your mind is scattered, your energy is depleted, and you can't focus on doing any one task well. Imagine trying to carry 10 heavy bags at once. It's not going to end well. Eventually, you'll drop something, and the same happens with our responsibilities. By overloading yourself, you're not giving any one task the attention it deserves, which ultimately leads to frustration, mistakes, and a sense of failure. Consider a story of a man named Alex. Alex was a successful professional with a family to care for and a large social network. He prided himself on being able to manage it all, often working late hours, attending social events, and being the go-to person for family issues. But over time, Alex noticed that he was becoming irritable, less effective at work, and disconnected from his family. He realized that by trying to be everything for everyone, he was failing to be fully present in any part of his life. It wasn't until Alex decided to delegate tasks at work, say no to some social invitations, and prioritize quality time with his family that he started to regain his energy and peace of mind. His experience is a lesson in the importance of recognizing when we're overloaded and taking steps to manage our responsibilities more effectively. How often do you find yourself in a situation like Alex's, trying to carry more than your fair share, only to feel burned out and unsatisfied? The Stoic approach to handling an overload of responsibilities is simple. Focus on what is within your control and let go of what isn't. If you're feeling overwhelmed by your commitments, take a step back and ask yourself, which of these responsibilities are truly mine to carry? Are there things I can delegate, tasks I can postpone, or even commitments I need to walk away from? This doesn't mean shirking your duties, but rather being realistic about your limitations. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you're overloaded, you waste energy on things that don't matter, leaving you with little energy for the things that do. In practical terms, this might mean learning to say no more often or setting boundaries that protect your time and energy. It's about understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving to others without replenishing your own reserves, you will eventually run out of energy. Prioritizing your own well-being isn't selfish. It's necessary if you want to continue being effective in all areas of your life. The Stoics believed in balance and moderation, and that applies to how we manage our responsibilities too. You can't control everything, and you shouldn't try to. Instead, focus on what's essential and let go of the rest. The overload of responsibilities is one of the most common yet underestimated drains on our energy. By taking on too much, we spread ourselves too thin, leaving little room for self-care, personal growth, or even just enjoying life. The key to avoiding this energy drain is to recognize when you're overloaded, set boundaries, and focus on what truly matters. As the Stoics remind us, we must manage our inner world, our thoughts, reactions, and energy, if we are to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. So ask yourself, are you carrying more than you need to? What can you let go of today to regain your energy and peace of mind? The answers may surprise you and ultimately free you from the exhaustion that comes with trying to do it all. 11. Not accepting reality. Another significant source of exhaustion in life comes from resisting or refusing to accept reality. When we fight against the truth of our circumstances, whether it's something as small as a bad day or as life-changing as a major loss, we drain ourselves mentally and emotionally. The Stoics understood this well and built much of their philosophy around the importance of accepting reality for what it is. As Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things but by the views they take of them. This means that it's not the events themselves that tire us, but our refusal to accept them as they are. When you resist the present moment or try to escape from the truth, you only create more frustration, stress, and exhaustion. Accepting reality doesn't mean you have to like it or agree with it. It simply means recognizing what is within your control and what isn't, and making peace with the things you cannot change. Let's consider how this plays out in modern life. Perhaps you're going through a tough time at work. Maybe your project isn't going as planned, or you didn't get the promotion you were hoping for. It's easy to get stuck in a loop of "this isn't fair" or "this shouldn't be happening." But that mindset only makes the situation harder to deal with. By refusing to accept the reality of the situation, you prolong your suffering and exhaust yourself emotionally. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a powerful reminder that when we accept reality, we free up the energy we would otherwise spend resisting it. Instead of focusing on how things should be, you can shift your attention to what you can do next to improve or adapt to the situation. A modern example of the toll that not accepting reality takes can be seen in relationships. Imagine a scenario where someone is holding on to a relationship that's clearly unhealthy or no longer working. Instead of facing the truth, they cling to the idea that things will change, or that somehow if they just do more, the situation will improve. They resist the reality that this relationship isn't serving them, and in doing so, they waste precious energy trying to force something that can't be forced. Over time, this denial leads to emotional exhaustion, frustration, and even resentment. Accepting reality in this case doesn't mean giving up on love or relationships. It means understanding when a situation has run its course and choosing to move forward with clarity and self-respect. How many times in life do we hold on to something that no longer serves us, simply because we're afraid to face the truth? One of the most common reasons people struggle to accept reality is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, or fear of losing control. We often believe that by resisting what's happening, we can somehow change the outcome. But the reality is, there are many things in life that are beyond our control. The Stoics knew that the key to inner peace lies in distinguishing between what we can change and what we cannot. Seneca once said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the unwilling." This means that when we accept reality willingly, we're led with purpose and clarity. When we resist, we're dragged through life, kicking and screaming, expending unnecessary energy in the process. In today's fast-paced world, where control and predictability are often seen as the markers of success, it can be difficult to accept when things don't go as planned. We live in a society that encourages us to believe we can control everything, from our careers to our relationships, even to the way we age. But the truth is, life is unpredictable, and clinging to an illusion of control only sets us up for disappointment and fatigue. Think about how often you've exhausted yourself trying to change something that was simply out of your hands. Maybe it was a situation at work, or perhaps it was something more personal, like a family conflict. How much more energy could you have saved if you'd accepted the situation for what it was and focused on what you could actually influence? The Stoic approach to accepting reality isn't about being passive or indifferent. It's about being proactive in the right ways. When you accept reality, you're not saying, "I give up." You're saying, "I recognize what's within my power to change, and I choose to focus on that." This shift in mindset allows you to conserve your energy for the things that truly matter: your actions, your responses, and your growth. When we fight against reality, we waste energy on things we can't change. But when we embrace the truth, we free ourselves to live more fully in the present moment, making better decisions and finding peace in even the most challenging circumstances. Consider the story of a man named David, who worked tirelessly for years to achieve a leadership position at his company. But when the opportunity finally came, it was given to someone else. David spent months in frustration, replaying the situation over and over in his mind, convinced that if he just worked harder, things would turn out differently. But no matter how much he resisted the truth, the decision wasn't going to change. It wasn't until David accepted the reality of the situation that he was able to move on. He started focusing on what he could control, improving his skills, building relationships, and seeking new opportunities. By accepting reality, David freed himself from the exhaustion of denial and redirected his energy toward growth and progress. How many of us, like David, spend too much time and energy fighting against circumstances we cannot change? Refusing to accept reality only prolongs your suffering and drains your energy. It's not about giving up or becoming passive. It's about understanding the limits of your control and focusing your energy on what you can change. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Accepting reality allows you to move forward with clarity, strength, and renewed energy. So, ask yourself, what realities are you resisting in your life? How much energy are you wasting by fighting the truth? By accepting things as they are, you'll not only conserve your energy, but also find the peace and clarity to focus on what truly matters. 12. Not making time for yourself. The last biggest mistakes you can make is not carving out time for yourself, and this can quickly drain your energy without you even realizing it. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in endless to-do lists, work demands, family responsibilities, and social obligations. You might think that dedicating all your time to others, or constantly working, is the key to success. But the reality is that neglecting your own well-being is a surefire way to burn out. You can't pour from an empty cup, and if you don't make time for yourself, you'll eventually find yourself running on fumes. The Stoics, known for their wisdom in navigating life's challenges, emphasized the importance of self-reflection and personal well-being. As Seneca said, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Your time is your most valuable asset, and using it wisely includes dedicating moments for self-care and reflection. Many people feel guilty about taking time for themselves. They believe that if they're not constantly productive or helping others, they're wasting time. However, the truth is that regular moments of rest and solitude are essential for recharging your energy and maintaining mental clarity. Without making time for yourself, you become more prone to stress, anxiety, and eventually burnout. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you're recognizing the value of self-maintenance so you can be better for those around you. Think about it. How often do you find yourself saying, "I don't have time," when what you really mean is, "I'm not prioritizing myself"? In today's world, where distractions are endless and everyone seems to be hustling, it's easy to lose track of time for personal moments. Social media, work pressures, family, and friends can consume every available minute. And while these responsibilities and interactions are important, they can become overwhelming if you don't balance them with time for yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us to guard our inner selves, saying, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." This quote speaks to the necessity of finding peace within, but you can only do that if you create space in your life to reconnect with yourself. Are you dedicating time to nurture your inner peace, or are you constantly distracted by external demands? A great example of this comes from a modern-day executive named John. John was highly successful in his career, always busy with meetings, deadlines, and client demands. He believed that the more he worked, the more successful he would become. However, as time went on, he noticed he was always tired, irritable, and disconnected from his family and friends. Despite his professional success, he felt something was missing. It wasn't until John started dedicating a few hours each week to himself, whether it was reading, going for a walk, or simply sitting in silence, that he began to feel energized again. He realized that making time for himself wasn't just about relaxation, it was about renewing his sense of purpose and clarity. How often do we, like John, believe that constant productivity is the key to success, only to realize that without time for ourselves, we lose the very energy we need to keep going? The key to avoiding the energy drain that comes from neglecting yourself is to be intentional with your time. Schedule regular moments in your day or week that are dedicated solely to you. This could be as simple as a morning routine where you enjoy a cup of coffee in silence, or something more structured like setting aside time for meditation, exercise, or journaling. The Stoics believed in the power of introspection, and taking time to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotions can be incredibly grounding. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." This quote serves as a reminder that growth and renewal take time, and making time for yourself is part of that process. It's also important to recognize that time for yourself doesn't have to be long or elaborate. Even small pockets of time can make a significant difference. If you find it difficult to set aside hours for personal time, start with minutes. Take a 10-minute break to breathe, stretch, or simply sit in silence. Over time, these small moments add up and help restore your energy, allowing you to be more present and effective in all areas of your life. Ask yourself, what small changes can you make today to ensure you're taking time for yourself? As we wrap up this video, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on the 12 things that might be draining your energy, and consider how applying Stoic principles can lead to personal growth and greater happiness in your daily life. By focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't, you'll free up your energy for the things that truly matter. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's one thing you're going to change starting today to regain your energy? Share your ideas in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new content that helps you live a more balanced and meaningful life. If you've made it this far, drop a comment saying, "The one who bites off more than they can chew ends up with nothing." Your engagement really supports our mission here on Stoic in your life, and I can't wait to hear about your success stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next adventure.